Hi, so this is the demo of the TP risk assessment form, um, the Excel version of this form. And what I have here is I've gone ahead and set up a folder called template. And I'm going to open that up, and that contains the template that we'll be working from. So I have this template here, and I can go ahead and copy it. Now, this template should just be accessible to anyone in the ministry. It should probably be on a shared drive, somewhere easy to access. And then we can go ahead and copy it and paste it into the folder in which we'd be keeping all of our uh, risk assessment forms that are in progress. So I've pasted this form, this template, and I'm gonna go ahead and follow the naming convention over here. So it asks for the TPR number and the year those are the two fields that will be changed. Um, and I'm gonna make this one up. So it's just TPR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the year is 2021. So I can put that in there. And now when I go and open this, I'll be greeted with the instructions on what to do. It can take a minute or two to open it up. So we'll just be patient here. Okay, so now we have it open. And we're greeted with the ministry instructions over here. And what I just did there was I enabled the content. I'm going to hit yes here as well. Um, you can see the first instruction. It tells you if you receive the warnings below, please be sure to enable content and/or enable editing. So I had to enable the content to get the macros running. The next instruction here is to fill out the risk assessment summary sheet. We can go ahead and view that right over here. And essentially all we have to fill out is the TPR name. So I'll make this one up and I'll call it agency 1. We'll use the same TPR number. And the assessment start date is today's date, which is October 15th. Now I can put in comments, but we probably won't need this until the end here. And you can see all these buttons to sign. I won't be signing right now, but the ministry lead risk assessor will have to sign this in the end. And in terms of the agency, the rest of them, or the rest of these fields will have to be signed as well. Now I can go back to the instructions and see that we've we've got we're basically asked to fill out the ministry use only sheet here, and we've got a demo on how that's actually done. And I can double click this to play it, and it's the same demo for the agency. And the demo is just a GIF going through the multiple choice bubbles and how to use them. So you can just click on them and how to use the drop down selector as well. Now, the ministry will only have the option of the drop down selector, whereas the agency will have both options. Now, I can just double click anywhere to exit. If I scroll down, it lets me play around with it, as you can see. And moving on. So we can actually go into the ministry use only sheet, and I've already gone ahead and filled this one out. Um, you can see there's a progress bar here at the top. It says 41 out of 41 questions are complete. When it's not complete, it is highlighted in red, so you know. Whenever you select an option that is related to a high risk score, that option will be then highlighted in red. So you can see that 1 is a low risk score, but if we put a 3 or a 4, it's going to turn red. Um, and you could also see in the legend here, it says that the agency and ministry initial selection is different. And what this means is that once we get the sheet back from the agency and they've already filled out their options for the answers, we can the when we go to view this ministry use only sheet, the questions that where the agency responses and the ministry's initial selection differ will be highlighted in yellow. We can add comments here if needed. Uh, that's about it. The last instruction here tells you to go ahead and view the detailed response chart to see the score that you gave the agency. Now this one's high risk, eh, according to me, and so we can see that the overall risk rating. One thing to know is that question 41 is not considered in the overall risk rating, and this is the same for how it was when we were using the Word document form. Moving forward, you can see that the instructions let you know that you have to hit agency user mode now, and this prepares the document for the agency to use. The file will also be saved, and you just close this file then and email it to the agency. The next step from there on is for once the agency sends back their responses. So we'll continue that, but I can go ahead and show you here agency user mode. So I'm going to hit yes, I want to enter agency user mode. Um, and the file has been saved. So now I'll close this and I'll go ahead and email this to the agency, and hopefully they'll respond soon and we can continue from there. And so we're back here, and this time we're here in the point of view of the agency. I've already received that email from the ministry and the request to fill out the form. So I downloaded the attachment, and now I'm going to open it up here in my downloads. And it could take a minute or two, so it looks like it opened up quick this time. We have it open here, and I'm going to enable the content. So the macros have been disabled. You can see the first instruction is that if we receive the warnings, we have to enable the content. Um, Now by doing so, I can continue. The second instruction lets me know that there's 7 different categories of questionnaires and I have to complete them all. The third instruction shows me how I would go about doing so. So it's the same demonstration that was available to the agency. It just lets you know how you fill out the bubbles or how you select the drop-down menu. And you can try it out as the agency. So I can play around with that. And moving forward, so the next instruction would be to sign the risk assessment summary page and send off the document to the next person who would need to sign it. Um, so we're going to go back to instruction 2, and we have to fill out the questions. So if I go here into governance, and all of the sheets look just like this, you can see that we've got the questions listed here, the multiple choice bubbles that we can fill, and progress bar at the top here. We also have fields to provide evidence or our risk mitigation plan, and also a field for comments if we need them. I can select my answers, so I'm going to select a 1 for this one, and you can see when I select a 1 that this is the field in which we would provide. This is the option. If this option was selected, this is where we would provide evidence. So that field opens up and it turns white, letting the agency know that they can fill it in. And I'll just type in a sentence. This is the evidence, just for examples. Question 2, same idea, but if we hit 3 or a 4 this time, you can see that the next bubble opens up. And over here, we would provide our risk mitigation plan. We can add a comment, so I can say, not sure what this meant, dot, dot, dot. And just continue to fill it out. You can see that the progress bar um, goes up as I fill it out, and once I'm done, it will light up in green, letting us know that we're completed and we can move on to the next. Once we've completed the whole sheet, we can go into the agency DRC and view it. But before we do that, just like the instructions said, we would have to sign it off. So I'm going to go ahead in the risk assessment summary, and in the risk assessment summary, you can see that the executive director, the board chair, the regional manager, and the regional director would all have to sign off on this. The ministry lead risk assessor would also sign off, but that is an individual from the ministry. So to sign, all you have to do is press click here to sign. It's pretty straightforward. It double checks and asks you if you're sure, and you can hit yes if you are. Um, and then it pops up letting you know that you must type your name out to sign. By typing your name, you affirm and certify that all the information and answers to questions herein are complete, true, and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my name Um, and what it does is it lets me know that it's signed successfully. You can see my name is typed out, my signature is there, and also the data tested is there. Now, in the perspective of the ministry, this looks just slightly different. If you didn't notice, I can go back into ministry user mode from here, from the instructions. And to do so, I just press the ministry user mode button, and it asks you for a password. So the password is MCCSS in all caps. And once I enter there, I can go into the risk assessment summary, and we'll see that we can see that the executive director has signed, but there's also two extra fields here. So we have the computer username slash logon ID and the computer name. And this just provides like an extra layer of security, and ensures that the signature is, we can verify which computer a signature came from. Now to go back into agency user mode, I'll just hit the agency user mode button. It'll double check with me and I hit yes. And the file has been saved. I've already gone ahead and filled out the rest of these. So we can go into the agency DRC, and you see that there's a medium risk rating for this agency over here. One thing I also want to note is that in all of these sheets, even the ones for the ministry, anything that doesn't need to be selected isn't allowed to be selected. So for example, these cells over here on the side, I can't select them. Neither can I select any of these cells over here really. Um, And this is to ensure that we don't accidentally start entering things into places that we shouldn't be entering them. None of this over here is clickable by the agency, not even the TPR name, TPR number, and the assessment start date. That is all filled out by the ministry. Same thing when we go into the questionnaires, only the multiple choice bubbles and the agency selection and these fields here are selectable. Anything on the side, even the title and the progress bar, are not selectable. And on the agency DRC, it's only viewable. There's nothing you can select here. Once we're done as the agency, and I am, you can see that it lets you know to check out the agency DRC page to see your results, the summary of your results. And once you're done completely filling it out and everyone signed it off, we don't have all the signatures here, but I can add those later. We'll send it back to the ministry. So I'll save this and then I'll close it and send it to the ministry, and we'll be back. We're back here as a ministry, and I've already received the email from the agency, and they filled out the entire document. So I went ahead and downloaded the attachment, and now I'm in my downloads. And what I can do is I can cut this from my downloads and paste it in our risk assessment forms folder. Now you can see that we still have that old form, and what we want to do is we want to overwrite this. So it's going to ask you when you paste it that if you want to replace the file in the destination, and you just press yes. So I've replaced that and I can open it. Okay. So we're here in the agency user mode, and what we want to do is we want to go into ministry user mode. So I just press this button here. I put in the password, which is MCCSS in all caps, and here we are. Now we want to go back to where we left off at. We were at step 6. Uh, And step 6 says when the agency sends back their responses, press the finalize answers button, and this will take you back to the ministry use only sheet. You'll be able to view the agency responses and compare them against your own initial responses. You need to fill out your final answers in the ministry final selection column. So if we go to finalize answers, and it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to begin finalizing answers? Um, if I press yes here, it'll take me to the ministry use only sheet, but I want to show you that you aren't able to press yes if it's not completely filled out. So if I don't have this one selected here, we only have 40 out of 41 questions. I can press finalize answers and I can press yes, but it'll say you have completed 40 out of 41 questions and you must fill it out completely before finalizing. If the agency also had missed a couple questions, it would let you know how many questions they missed, and it would also tell you that they must fill it out completely before we can start finalizing the answers. Um, Now we can fix this here, and I'm just gonna finalize the answers and press yes. And now this takes us back to the ministry use only sheet, but you can see that there's a couple new columns here. So we have the agency selection, the evidence risk mitigation plan, and the agency comments. And all of this is provided by the agency, and these are the responses from the agency. And we use these responses to help finalize our selection. So we can see that the agency gave themselves a 1. We initially gave them a 3, and they provided some evidence. And going with the evidence, I decide that they're actually a 2. So I can go ahead and put that in. Um, and you just have to go and fill out the entire sheet, fill out all your final selections. And once you're done, the final DRC will become available. So right now it says the form is incomplete, and you can see because we only gave one question in governance answered for a final selection. The rest of them are unanswered. Um, Once we do complete, however, the next step is just to export the document as a PDF after we've already viewed our final DRC and checked out the results. We can export the document to a PDF. So we just press this button here, export to PDF, and it makes sure that you're sure, and you just press yes. And it can take a minute, but once it's done, it says the PDF export has been saved in the same folder as this Excel file. So if I go back into that folder where we have this saved, you can see that we have both the final DRC and the questions and responses from the entire document. So I can open that up, and we have the entire document. So we have agency selections, the evidence risk mitigation plan, and the comments from the agency. We also have the ministry's initial selections, the ministry's final selections, and the ministry's comments. And that's all the information we need. Um, we can also quickly identify where the agency selection differed from the ministry initial selections by seeing the questions that are highlighted in yellow. Um, and that's about it. So another thing to mention is that these categories are color coded just to make it easier to know once you've uh, gone into another category of questions. The final DRC is the same thing. It's just the PDF export of the document. So we have this here, and this is it. And that will be the demo of our tool. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd appreciate any feedback if you have any suggestions or any comments or anything that you think could be done better. Please let me know and I will do my best to incorporate it. Thank you.